What's up, motherfuckers? Inglewood here with Killing Esports, and we are doing another StarCraft 2 game for you guys today. We are here on Condemned Ridge with the red Protoss in the northeast position, BenjiB squaring off against the blue Protoss in the southwest, GrinderHog. So we got a PvP today on this big-ass map, and hopefully it's not a shitty 4-gate fucking faggot square-off that goes nowhere. I do not know a single thing about either of these players other than GrinderHog is actually kind of a dick in real life. But that said, as far as StarCraft is concerned, we've seen him win and we've seen him lose. So that doesn't necessarily mean this is a win just because he's submitting the replays. And he's going to go ahead and get some scouting going on. And it looks like he's going to go clockwise while his opponent is going to be going counterclockwise, and they're both going to kind of meet in the middle here, which could be some indication to them if they actually spot each other. Right now, both probes high-fiving each other saying, hey, you're probably not here if you're out scouting. So that's going to give them a good indication where their opponent is. Really early gateway coming out for GrinderHog, actually. He's gone ahead and foregone some workers here so that he can afford this early gateway. And that makes me wonder what he's going to be doing with it. Is he just going to chrono out a couple of zealots for some early pressure? Or is he going to throw down the cyber core extra early and try and get like a 4-gate going on or a 3-gate robo going on a little early? There's got to be some reason that he's going, that he forwent the standard amount of workers to get this out. So we shall keep an eye on that and see what's going on with it. Meanwhile, GrinderHog's scout finally lands in BenjiB's base, and he's going to look around and actually pull right back out. No, he is going to duck back in. Okay. And he's probably going to try and bury a pylon back here because he's a bit of a cheese dick, and that's what he likes to do. So here we see him tucked away in a corner, cheesing away. BenjiB's probe is doing a little bit of scouting around. He's set up some warp positions here, some rally positions to move his scout around and see everything that he can see. And what have we got? Cyber cores coming up for both of them. GrinderHog's a little bit early just because he skipped that one worker. Again, looks like GrinderHog's actually going to go ahead and scout his base and make sure that GrinderHog is not throwing down pylons in hidden locations. So that's very good for him. I do like to see that. And he might actually get a kill on this probe if he's not careful. GrinderHog throws down a pylon to try and distract BenjiB's workers to keep them from killing his worker, but it looks like he's actually going to skirt away now that this has begun. And are any workers being pulled off the line to kill this pylon? No. BenjiB actually lets that finish, which is very interesting to me. Warp gate technology on the way for both guys. BenjiB's first zealot is just about out, whereas GrinderHog has forgone the first zealot in lieu of spending his money elsewhere on more workers and extra. Actually a robo bay coming out for BenjiB now, but 3 gateways on the way for GrinderHog. So that's going to be some cheese dick 4-gate if I have ever seen it. And the one zealot popping out of BenjiB is going to shut this pylon down before that 4-gate finishes, so he'll be relatively safe in that regard, but yeah, we'll see. What's down here? Okay, just one probe from GrinderHog is down at the 3rd base for Benji, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he decided to chuck down a pylon there to try and get his 4-gate going on. But that's not going to be happening for a little bit here. 1, 2, 3 gateways just now tying it up, and they're still going to have to convert into warp gates. And, there's still how long here on warp gate technology? Another 5 seconds, so in about 10 seconds warp gate technology will be done, and these gateways can be turned into warp gates. And it looks like he has actually dumped a pylon now, so very good. GrinderHog setting up a couple of locations to warp into. Oh, but it's scouted by the zealot. BenjiB just happens to rally a zealot around, and that's going to kill off the probe and start knocking down that pylon. So a really nice defense there by BenjiB. He's being proactive in making sure not only that GrinderHog wasn't hiding away in the corner of his base, but also wasn't getting pylons down and wasn't hiding pylons in the second and third base. Looks like GrinderHog has actually warped in 1 Zealot and 3 Stalkers to his first pylon back here, and is now running them up to defend the second pylon. But two Stalkers get trapped at the top of the ramp with a really nice force field out of BenjiB, and they both fall down. So now it's 1 Zealot, 1 Stalker against a couple Stalkers and an Immortal and a Sentry. So BenjiB actually looking really nice here. And look at the supply count. He's already up by 12 this early on, and his open supply is much, much larger. That said, if he doesn't do something with this advantage that he has right now, he's going to begin to fall behind, because GrinderHog has actually already secured his natural base in this ninja expansion here in the southeast position, which could very well go unscouted for the rest of the game. So he's being a little bit sneaky. We see Immortals coming out for both players. Both have Robo Bays down, and both are going to try and do like a Stalker Immortal type thing, and I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we saw BenjiB throw down the money for his natural right now. He's got the minerals sitting around, he can afford to do so, but he just hasn't committed to it as of yet, and we're still not seeing any probes being pulled off the line. So I'm not sure if he thinks that he's defending a 4-gate still, which he is not, obviously. GrinderHog has given up on that and has actually gone for like a more of a economical type play style. So here we go. BenjiB pushes out with a probe. He's only going to drop a pylon though, not actually a Nexus, which is surprising to me. And it looks like he's actually going to do some scouting with this rather than actually go out and try and build something. Oh no, he's chucking down pylons here and there. So that's going to do two things. It's going to give him map vision at these other locations on the map, so he'll be able to see what the pylons see. And it's also going to allow him a forward warp in position should he decide to be offensive against GrinderHog. But as we can see, being behind one base, it's quickly catching up to BenjiB. He's chucking down pylons and he's looking a little aggressive, but the supply advantage that he had is already drifting away, and he's only down to a 9 supply advantage at this point. But he does have a reasonable looking army. What is that? 4 Immortals, a couple of Sentries, and 6 Stalkers. Unfortunately, that whole group was just scouted by this observer out of GrinderHog. So GrinderHog might actually be aware that this is coming in. Some Zealots being warped in here at the southwest part of the map, just to add to this army, to give him a big, nice push in here. And what do we actually see here to defend GrinderHog? He's got Immortals in place. He has some Sentries with energy in place. He's got Zealots in place. And he's got a Warp Prism, which we actually haven't seen him use yet. He's going to do a double Immortal drop. So there we go. Just as I say that, he picks up 2 Immortals, and he's going to go and try and do something sneaky with this. But is that going to be seen? Yes. Absolutely. BenjiB sees that, and he knows what's coming. He gets some free shots on it with the Stalkers, but it does outrun them. That said, BenjiB knows there's something coming in for his home base, so 3 Stalkers are warped in back at home to defend. Meanwhile, he's going to push up the ramp, seeing the GrinderHog is trying to be aggressive. That's going to make BenjiB push in. A couple of good force fields come down. They're going to trap in a few units from BenjiB. He's going to lose them. And actually just letting up 1 Sentry with full energy, and that goes down. So that's terrible. But it looks like Benji's actually got vision on the top. Oh, thanks to this observer here. So they're not completely worthless, these military units being stuck at the bottom of the ramp. They do force their way up, and they severely outnumber GrinderHog. And I just want to take a quick glance back to make sure there's nothing happening with that Warp Prism drop. It is coming in right now, and it's about to be deflected by 3 Stalkers, I would think. I'll take a look back down here again. Yes, BenjiB's forces far outnumbering those of GrinderHog. They depower just about all of its buildings. Back up top, those 2 Immortals did drop down. It looks like the Stalkers didn't actually push away that Warp Prism. They're targeting down the wrong Immortal. The one was much lower than the other, but they dropped the shields of both, and a bunch of Zealots are going to come in and try and turn this away. But some good pickup and drop micro here from GrinderHog. And he's getting way more kills on these Immortals than by anybody ought to. So he's doing serious damage, but he has lost his main back at home. thanks to BenjiB's enormous push here. And if we look at the supply, it's like 69 to 31. So it really looks like Benji's going to run away with this one unless GrinderHog can pull something out of his hat. The thing that is working in his favor, though, is that he's got this second base going with a couple of robo bays, and he's warping in 4 more warp gates and a forge. And he's got this fresh economy here with quite a bit of drones or probes working away here, so making him some money. And meanwhile, Benji, not actually scouting around trying to find a second base, he's returning home to clear up this drop because he doesn't want these 2 immortals to take out everything that he's got. And so I'd almost say that's a bit of a mistake. I think he should have been safe and cleared up these 2 structures here at home and then said, oh, hey, it looks like there's actually more buildings on the map, because now he's just lost his main, and he's allowing some time for GrinderHog to come back and try and make something else out of this game. And GrinderHog doesn't actually lose his 2 immortals. He picks them up and he's going to go home, and those guys are superhero immortals. I'm going to take a look at Benji's vision real quick. He does not know what's going on with GrinderHog. He probably thinks it's just these 2 buildings remaining, and so he's going to send down some zealots to try and clear it up. And when that fails, what does that leave? He's scouting. Okay, so he's now sending some probes around to scout. And he's going to be a little disappointed to learn that, oh, there's a bunch of cannons here, and you probably have a second base. So at the bottom of this ramp, he's got a couple of probes. Is he going to try and cannon that off or something? No, he's actually just going to pull his whole army down south. And, you know, I don't love it, but what other choice does he have? He doesn't have enough money to make another nexus. He doesn't have a nexus to produce more workers out of, so he is absolutely stuck at this point, whereas GrinderHog is not. GrinderHog still has a nexus, he can still make workers, and he's still got money. And in fact, he's got quite a lot of it. So, despite having the numbers advantage, I would say Benji's actually at a disadvantage here because he's got all the army he's ever going to have for the rest of this game. He does have 8 workers, but like I say, he's got nowhere to take money to. So his financial situation is basically frozen. And if he can't pull off some sort of miracle win here, I think he's fucked. And he's going to push in now. How many immortals is this? 6, 7. 7 immortals, that's a lot. And he's going to pop up a Guardian Shield and try and do a big push up this ramp to make something happen. But there's a whole lot of immortals and cannons waiting on GrinderHog's side of things. And I think with some luck, he should be able to deflect this. He doesn't appear to be target firing down units, though. And so he's actually losing all of his immortals at first. And now the cannons are starting to come down as well, leaving Benji once again with the advantage here. All of these immortals with their, what is it called? The hardened shields. And they're actually going to push through and knock down all these defenses. So everything that's being warped in by GrinderHog now is taking free shots from BenjiB. But there is actually a little bit of damage being exchanged. And so the real question now is going to be, can GrinderHog warp in enough units to do a little bit of damage to all these Benji units without them actually falling? And we see Grinder pulling all of his workers off the line. He's trying to make a mad dash for it. He actually fills up his warp prison with 8 workers to try and plant down base number 2 somewhere else, while Benji is distracted cleaning this up. And if Benji is choosing not to pursue, which it would appear that he is not, that's actually going to allow GrinderHog to go and have a few moments to set up base number 3. So he can do this all over again. And that would be absolutely critically terrible for Benji, because like I say, he can't make any more money. The units that he has on the field right now are the only units he's going to have for the rest of the game. And so while he is getting kills on this second base, it looks like, okay, he's actually kind of stepping towards the ramp, like he realizes he needs to get out of here and make sure that another base isn't going down. But the temptation to clear up all these buildings is too great, so he actually loses about. So his 3 immortals and 2 stalkers and a zealot are going to stick around for a while. And that's going to give all the time in the world for GrinderHog to pop back up to the northwest position here and set up a new base. And while I agree with Benji that you know, it's too good to be true when you have a free base ready to mow down. It's ultimately going to be his undoing at this point, because as we can see, GrinderHog's already getting static defenses up at this third base, and so there will be cannons waiting once it's scouted out. And it looks like Benji just now realizes what's going on. He runs up the ramp with a worker and loses it, and he's got to be thinking to himself, shit, what do I do? 25 minerals, nothing he can do with that gas that he has sitting around. And he's only got, if you take a look at the units tab, well, he's got 3 immortals, 2 stalkers, 2 zealots, and 3 probes. And if he can't get up that ramp immediately, there's going to be a whole lot more cannons than that, and it's going to be a lose-lose situation for him. So at this point, I almost have to throw the game to GrinderHog, despite being behind for so long, just because he managed to be so annoying and so persistent in refusing to die. And that sneaky second base paid off for him big time, because it certainly produced more than it cost. And it's those small things that make the big differences in these kind of games. So BenjiB now arriving with his fairly slow army. These immortals do not move too quickly. They're just now getting to the northwest, and he's hoping and praying that GrinderHog doesn't have a shit ton of cannons at the top of that ramp. He already knows there's a couple, but he doesn't know what else beyond that. And up he goes to try his luck, and he's going to try and target down those pylons to depower them, because it would be easier to kill off the pylons than the cannons. So pylon number 2 now being shot down, and he actually depowers all of those cannons. So if BenjiB had a chance, this is it. But he needs to keep his eyes on that warp prism and make sure it doesn't fly away full of workers again to start base number 4. Because unfortunately GrinderHog actually could afford to do that, but he GG's out. He's saying GG, but he's still in the game. It looks like he's not actually quitting. He's just saying GG, but he's actually going to run off and try and make something else happen here. That's a little bit shitty, GrinderHog. So, oh, GG question mark? Yeah, GG, I think I might be able to not die. So, it's now kind of a race between GrinderHog getting these workers out and popping down some buildings. Oh, no, he doesn't. That Nexus falls, and that's going to be it. So GrinderHog actually loses this game. That's a surprise for all of us. BenjiB takes a win after working really hard for it and then looking like he actually lost it at the last minute. So that's quite a fun game, especially for being a shitty-ass PvP. So I've been Inglewood. Thanks for watching. This has been Killing Esports. Make sure you check us out on Facebook.com/KillingEsports and YouTube.com/KillingEsports, and we'll keep making games. We'll see you guys next time.